We had a great time in Iceland, and in fact, we plan on going back. We went in December, and so this video is going to be about just different things I observed while being in Iceland, so that if you are planning a trip, you can just take some notes and maybe it can help you. So the first thing I want to talk about is parking. So when you visit the different sites, such as the waterfall sites, there's going to be like a billboard, and it's going to have a number on it and a QR code. You click the QR code, and then you can, pay for your parking. Now, don't think that you're going to ride around Iceland and just disregard parking, because there are no parking attendants. But in Iceland, there are cameras everywhere around the attraction areas. So, if you think you're going to go to Iceland and not pay to park, I don't think it's going to end up really well for you. So anyway, there's it's like billboards, not really a billboard, but it's like a big board, and there's going to be a number on the board. So when you scan the QR code, you put in your license plate number and your credit card number, and you can pay to park there, right? So now my husband did all of that. So um there's an area, or there's on the app, you can put your credit card number, kind of like just have it in there, so that every time you go to park somewhere, you don't have to go to the app every time. But one thing that we found was, we rented a vehicle, and so as we were driving around, the cameras pick up your license plate number of the vehicle that you rented. And what happened with us is that we returned the vehicle, we're back in the States, and it's maybe 5 days later, my husband started seeing charges on the card for parking. So what happens is, when you put your card on the app for that particular rental car, make sure you take your card off when you return the vehicle, because if not, the cameras will pick up the license plate, which in the app, that license plate is registered to your credit card. So if you don't take your credit card off, you're going to have whoever rents the car after you, they can literally just drive around and park all over the place and charge it to your card because you didn't take it off. So remember to take your card off of the app when you return your rental car, okay? I think that's valuable information. So the next thing I want to talk about is that I want to talk about Hallgrímskirkja Church. So before I visited Iceland, I thought that I was thinking to myself, how are we going to visit this church? Like, do I take a bus there? Do I have to take a tour? Because I wasn't planning on staying in Reykjavik. So when we were in Iceland, we realized you can just drive in front of the church. I mean, when you drive in front of it, there's going to be cars in the back of you and in the front of you. So if you are pressed for time, you can just pass by, snap a few pictures and keep going. Okay. But there is parking near the church where you can park there, take your time, get out, take pictures in front of the church, go inside of the church, things like that. But also, if you have rented a car, and let's say you're doing the ring road and you just don't have the time to park and get out and snap pictures of the church, you can just literally drive in front of the church as well. So I wanted to mention that because that's something I did not know before visiting Iceland. Let's talk about Blue Lagoon. Blue Lagoon is fabulous. I mean, I enjoyed it. But then again, we went in December, and I felt like it wasn't. In fact, when we visited in December, we arrived before 9 a.m. And so I felt like it really wasn't a lot of people there. Okay. Now, by the time we left at about maybe 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12, something like that. By the time we left, it was getting packed. Okay. So I do recommend, if you don't like a lot of crowds, get there early. Get to Blue Lagoon early. Also, when we went, I don't know if it was because they were doing construction or what, but the walk from the parking lot to the entrance, it wasn't like a little 30-step walk. I mean, like it was kind of like a maze. Like go from the parking lot, then you turn and you go up, then you turn again and you go that way, then you finally turn again. So it wasn't a very short walk. I mean, it wasn't a hard walk or a moderate walk, but it was a decent walk. It wasn't like you park here and you go into the building. It was a bit of a walk to get into the Blue Lagoon, which is fine. But if you are uh, in a wheelchair or on a walker or walking with a cane, that might be something that you want to know. Okay. I'm just looking at my notes 1 minute. Okay, let's talk about the difference between Seljalandsfoss and Skogafoss. Those are like the two main waterfalls in the southern portion of Iceland. So Skogafoss used to be the coastline of Iceland. Okay, so Skogafoss used to be the coastline of Iceland. Skogafoss is the waterfall that you can walk close to the side. You can walk up the side of it. Like the waterfall is here, and you can walk up the side. There are stairs going up the side of Skogafoss where you can get to the top and you can look down on the waterfall. And then once you get to the top and you walk a little bit past, away from the waterfall, away from Skogafoss, you will see other small waterfalls as well. Now, when we went, we didn't climb up the side of Skogafoss because we were pressed for time. Because in December, you're only working with 4 hours of daylight in Iceland. So we were pressed for time, so we didn't walk up the side of Skogafoss. Seljalandsfoss. Seljalandsfoss is the waterfall where you can walk behind it. You can walk, let's say this is the waterfall. There's a path on the side where you can walk behind the waterfall and take beautiful pictures behind the waterfall, weather permitting. Again, we went in December and we lucked up because the weather was absolutely beautiful in Iceland. We live in the Atlanta, Georgia, USA area. And so, we're used to cold weather here and there, but the weather was beautiful. And I'm mentioning that to let you know that even though we went in December, we were able to walk behind Seljalandsfoss. Seljalandsfoss, it wasn't blocked off because what they normally do is in the winter when the ground gets too icy and there's snow and it's slippery and things like that, they block off Seljalandsfoss, the path going behind the waterfall. They will block it off because it becomes too dangerous to go behind the waterfall. And so we lucked up. When we went, we were able to walk right behind it. It was absolutely beautiful. It was amazing. That was on day 2. So if you're watching any of my videos, check out day 2 because on day 2, we visited Skogafoss and we visited Seljalandsfoss. So that's the difference between Skogafoss and Seljalandsfoss. Seljalandsfoss, you can walk behind the waterfall. Skogafoss, you can walk on close to the side. There's a stairway going up the side of Skogafoss. So Skogafoss, you can walk up the side. Seljalandsfoss, you can walk behind. Another thing I want to mention, which I didn't know before we visited Iceland, We were staying in the southern portion of Iceland. We were close to Vik. And I couldn't figure out, because I didn't check out maps really. I couldn't figure out which one should I visit first. So just to let you know, if you are coming from Reykjavik headed towards Vik, which is, in the southern portion of Iceland, you will see Seljalandsfoss before you see Skogafoss. Now, if you're coming from Vik and you're headed to Reykjavik, you will see Skogafoss before you see Seljalandsfoss. Just to let you know, in case you're planning a whole road trip and everything. All right, let's see. So, the hotel we stayed in was the Black Beach Suites. Highly recommend. I highly recommend that hotel. They have a what is it called when happy hour? They have a happy hour. I believe like every day. I'm not sure when. We were never there for the happy hour, but when we checked in, they let us know when the happy hours were. But we just happened to never catch the happy hour. And the rooms at Black Beach Suites have dishwasher, 2-burner stove, microwaves, refrigerator, pots, plates, cups, utensils. The bathroom has a heated towel rack. I like the hotel. And the icing on the cake for this hotel is that we saw the northern lights right from our patio. I loved it. So I highly recommend Black Beach Suites if you are staying in the southern area of Iceland, because it was not too far from Reynisfjara Beach as well. And it wasn't too far from Vik. To me, it was the perfect location for checking out all of the southern area of Iceland. It was perfect. Northern Lights. December you have a high chance of seeing the Northern Lights in December. They say October is a great time as well. The only problem with December is December tends to be more cloudy. Okay, but Northern Lights, when you go to Iceland, I believe it's from like September through, I don't know, February. You should be able to see Northern Lights at some point, but don't be disappointed if you don't see the Northern Lights. It's just a chance for you to visit Iceland again. I do highly recommend that you rent a 4x4 vehicle. Especially if you're going in the wintertime, because of the fact that there might be ice on the road, and some of the roads tend to be kind of rocky. So I do recommend a 4x4. We rented a Defender, which it was really great. It was nice. Again, the weather in December tends to be very cold. Sometimes it tends to rain a lot. We didn't encounter that. We only encountered, I don't even want to say it was bad weather, but on our last day in Iceland, the wind gusts were like 45 miles per hour. It was raining. I thought it was a hurricane coming through. It was really, really, the weather was really, I hadn't seen it like that. The whole time we were there, the weather was really calm, serene. And our last day there, the wind gusts were like, I'll put it like this. Before I visited Iceland, I would watch YouTube videos and they would talk about make sure you hold the handles of the car when you're getting out because the wind is so strong. And I see what they're talking about on that last day. Like, yeah, I can see. There have been cases where people's doors have flown off the hinges because of the wind in Iceland. Again, we didn't experience that. We only experienced heavy winds our last day, which if you watch my video, when we visited engulf us. It was so windy. I had to hold on to the rail. I felt like the wind was going to take me away. Okay, so also I'm looking at my notes here. 4 hours. There's only 4 hours of sunlight in December. So when you plan your trip to Iceland, you have to be very strategic. So I knew we were visiting in December. I knew there was only 4 hours of sunlight in December. So to me, I felt like we had to stay in the southern area, the southern portion of Iceland, because there's only 4 hours to work with to see anything. So that's why I chose to stay in the southern portion. Southern portion, I mean, there's a lot to see. Skoga Falls, Seljalands Falls, Glúfur. Oh my God, Glúfur was just, I feel like Glúfur was a sacred spot, but I'm going to get to that later on in the video. No, in fact, I'm getting up to that next. So let's go on ahead and talk about that. Let's talk about Glúfur. Okay. So Glúfur is sort of like a secret waterfall. It's even a hidden waterfall. You don't hear people talking about it much on YouTube. Glúfur is located a little walk away from Seljalands Falls. So let's say Seljalands Falls is here. Glúfur is over here in a cave. It is a waterfall in a cave. It is so beautiful. The energy in that cave, it felt so sacred to me. And also, if you watch my video from day 2, I posted some footage inside Glúfur, and I could see faces on the rocks. Okay, so if you watch that video, let me know if you see the faces in the rocks. But to me, the energy felt so exhilarating, and it felt so serene, and it really felt sacred to me. Glúfur. So if you are visiting Iceland and you happen to visit Seljalands Falls, in fact, I do highly recommend that you visit Glúfur first. Now, when you park, you're going to park closer to Seljalands Falls. So what we did, we parked the car and we kind of like passed up. Let's say this is Seljalands Falls. We passed up Seljalands Falls and we took a walk. It's only about maybe like a 5 to 10 minute walk. We took a walk and visited Glúfur first. Okay, took our time inside the cave with it's a nice sized waterfall too in the cave. So we looked at Glúfur. We experienced Glúfur first, and then we came back and took pictures at Seljalands Falls. We went behind the waterfall at Seljalands Falls, took pictures. But Glúfur is a very exhilarating spot. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Seljalands Falls, but to me, Glúfur is a sacred spot. And in fact, Glúfur, I believe it means hidden people in the cave or something like that. But anyway, you can look it up. But in Iceland, they believe in Huldafolk. And Huldafolk is like a spirit or like a troll or something that lives in a cave. So they say Huldafolk, meaning that it's a hidden entity, which could be a person, a spirit, whatever. They believe in not every person who lives in Iceland believes in the Huldafolk, but there is like folklore surrounding Huldafolk in Iceland. And so Glúfur is a place that is known for having Huldafolk if you believe in the Huldafolk. So just to let you know that. I just feel like it's always good to know some of the history and beliefs of the places you visit. So just to let you know, some people in Iceland believe in trolls, they believe in fairies, they believe in Huldafolk. And some of these terms are used interchangeably. Okay. There's even a belief that there's a rock somewhere in Iceland. And every time they try to move that rock to build something there, just madness happens. And it just never ends up being moved. And so now what they do is they have a medium who communicates with the trolls, elves. They some people believe in elves in Iceland also. So there is a medium, like a psychic medium, who supposedly communicates with these elves. And she came back and told the government, or I don't know if Iceland calls themselves the government of Iceland, but she told the people who were trying to plan to remove the rock. She told the people that the elves don't want the rock moved. So for years, this rock has not moved because, according to the medium, the elves do not want that rock moved, and the elves have let them know that if you ever try to move this rock, nothing good will come to you. Because every time they try to move that rock, something happens where they can't move it. So anyway, I highly recommend Glufaruri also. Now, let's talk about Reynisfara Beach, okay? Because I'm pretty sure everybody has seen the videos about the sneaker waves and things like that. So when we visited Reynisfara Beach, guess what the code was? It was red. We couldn't even go behind the gates. We couldn't step our foot on the beach because the waves were so high. If you watch my video from day 2, you will see how high the waves were. I mean, the waves were like fierce, you know? Also, on Reynisfara Beach, you can see the Reynis Drangar sea stacks. Now, legend has it that those sea stacks that you see right off of Reynisfara Beach, legend has it that those are trolls that were just not frozen, but I can't think of the word I'm trying to say right now, but legend has it that the Reynis Drangar sea stacks are actually trolls that are like frozen in time, or like concrete turned into stone. Legend has it that the Reynis Drangar sea stacks are actually trolls that have been turned into stone. And it's just an amazing sight to see, like to be along the beach, especially at sunset, and to see the Reynis Drangar sea stacks. It's really an amazing sight. And speaking of an amazing sight, if you're staying in the southern portion of Iceland, I highly recommend visiting Deer because from there you can see the Reynisfara Beach at an elevated vantage point, and the scenery is just absolutely beautiful. And there's also a lighthouse up there too, and the lighthouse is something you can see from different areas in the southern portion of Iceland. Let's talk about the food. Now, again, our hotel had 2-burner stove, microwave, things like that. So we did cook sometimes, but when we ate out, we did not eat anywhere in Reykjavik, but we did eat out in Vik. In Vic, we ate at the Black Crust Pizza, and I do have a video showcasing that pizza. I believe it's in my shorts. And the Black Crust Pizza was really good. It was very fresh. You could tell they used fresh ingredients. Like I had arugula, tuna, some peppers on my pizza. It was really fresh. It was really good. Don't be put off about the fact that the pizza is black. They use, I think it's like volcanic ash or something. Whatever it is, I think it's kind of like healthy. It's supposed to be healthy for you. But the pizza was really good. That was Black Crust Pizza. That was good. We also ate at the Soup Company. Now, at the Soup Company, I chose to get my soup in a bread bowl, and the bread bowl was black. It was really good. We also ate at Blue Lagoon. The restaurant has amazing food. The food there was good too. We ate at the Lava restaurant in Blue Lagoon. The food was really good. Now let's go on to some other things I want to mention. Since we're talking about Blue Lagoon, I'm pretty sure you see people with, all the mask stuff on their face when they visit Blue Lagoon. We did that too. Now, one thing, the water at Blue Lagoon is warm. When they give you the stuff to put on your face, you walk around for a few minutes. Now, there's one mask you put on, but you can only leave it on for so long because, it's kind of, I guess, exfoliating or whatever. But you put your mask on and, you wait a few minutes and you rinse it off. Now, there are water stations set up where you can rinse your mask off. But I have to let you know, the water stations are freezing cold. The water coming out of the faucet is freezing cold. I mean, freezing cold. I mean, you all even want to wash your face off because the water is so cold. Just imagine you're in warm, okay, imagine this. The weather is freezing, but you're in warm water, so you feel warm. But then you have to go to the station to rinse your face off, and the water is cold. So what I recommend is what we did. We did experience having to rinse our face off in the cold water. But then the last mask that we had, because we did have like a holiday package where you get to put 3 of those masks on. So the last mask we put on, it was a mask that you can put on and leave on. It was like a very moisturizing mask. So what we did was we put that mask on and then we went to the sauna. The Blue Lagoon has a sauna, it has a steam area, and they're all accessible from the waters of the Blue Lagoon. So you're wading through the water, you go to the sauna, and you sit there for a few minutes. And here's the tip. The sauna area has showers in there where the water is warm. So if you put your mask on, go to the sauna, you can rinse off in warm water. That was so nice to be able to rinse off our face in water that wasn't freezing cold. Okay, some people might think it's exhilarating, which I mean it can be, but it was already cold outside and freezing. We were warm in the water, which we really liked, but having to kind of get all that mask off your face and the water is freezing cold, I was just like, okay. Speaking of cold, if you live in a place where you really don't have to wear a heavy coat, then here's an option for you when you visit Iceland. There are companies that will rent out winter gear, which means that you can board your plane from your hometown. You can board your plane with just your regular clothes on. And then once you get to Iceland, you can rent winter gear. That is a great option. Okay. I highly recommend it. We didn't have to because, it gets a little cold here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. So we had our coats with us. But you can rent winter gear. You can rent wet weather gear. You can rent all of that when you get to Iceland. Now, if you don't want to rent it and you prefer to buy it, you can arrive in Iceland and you can buy winter stuff. Here's what some people do. They arrive in Iceland, they buy their winter gear or wet weather gear, and before they leave, they bring it to one of those like secondhand stores. And there's a very popular one here. I'm looking here because I have to try to pronounce it. Verslana Hallen. There's a store called Verslana Hallen in Reykjavik, and it's a secondhand store. And a lot of people go there and buy the big winter gear and the wet weather gear, use it, And then before they leave, they bring it back, maybe sell it back or whatever. Okay. So that's a tip also. You can rent winter gear. So don't, when you're at home planning your trip to Iceland, like, oh my God, it's going to be freezing. What am I going to wear? I don't have a coat, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry. You can rent it there. And that's one of my mottos when I travel, because I tend to be a last minute traveler. So a lot of times when I'm packing and I'm at the last hour trying to pack, I just tell myself, you know what? Anything you don't have, you can buy it when you get there. Tip. All right, let me look at my notes. Just to let you know, there's no parking fee at the Blue Lagoon. And now, speaking about the Blue Lagoon has changing rooms, showers. You can buy bathing suits there, everything you need to get in the water. There's also bathing suit dryers there. They have lotion, and everybody gets a towel as you are exiting the water. So that's really great. And let's see what we're going to talk about next. Okay, let's talk about Reykjavik, because what we did was we arrived in Iceland. When you arrive in Iceland, you do not arrive in Reykjavik. You arrive at the Keflavik airport, which, since Reykjavik is the main city, I guess everybody just says arriving into Reykjavik. But in actuality, when you arrive in Iceland, you do not arrive in Reykjavik. You arrive at the Keflavik airport. So we arrived at the airport, and since the Blue Lagoon is close to the airport, that was our first stop. We went to the Blue Lagoon first stop. After Blue Lagoon, we went to Reykjavik. Now, in Reykjavik, we wanted to see the Hallgrímskirkja church. So we saw that. We wanted to also kind of like visit one of the bars or something, just to see how the locals hang out. So we visited Kaldi Bar. That was nice. And of course, everyone wants to visit Rainbow Street when you visit Reykjavik. So we did that as well. Now, people have said that parking can be kind of complicated in Reykjavik. And like, I'm from New Orleans, so we're used to parking on the street. We're used to driving around, finding a spot to park on the street. So we were able to find a spot to park on the street. And so we didn't have to pay to park in Reykjavik. But we had to walk like maybe a block and a half to Kaldi Bar, which is, it's no problem for us. So yeah, Reykjavik was pretty cool. Let's see what else I want to talk about. All right, let me just check my notes. Okay, so I want to mention this. Being that we visited in December and we only have 4 hours of daylight, so we try to do as much as we can while we have daylight. So what do you do with the rest of the day? One place I recommend visiting at night when you have limited daylight in Iceland, visit one of the lava shows. We visited the one in Vik because we were staying near Vik, but I believe there's also a lava show in Reykjavik. So that is an idea on days where you have limited daylight. If you want to visit an ice cave or glacier, we did the Katla ice cave tour. It was really nice. They pick you up. There's a pickup point, or what they call a meeting point, in Vik. So we were picked up at the meeting point, which happens to be at the Black Crust Pizza. So they picked us up. We drove out to the glacier area, or the Katla ice cave area. You get out, you put your crampons on your boots. They provided the crampons. The crampons or crampons? I think it's crampons. They provide the crampons for everybody. They also provide you with helmets, and they provide you with the light on your helmet. as you go into the cave. So that's another thing. If you don't have your own crampons, you don't have to worry about that when you go on the Katla Ice Cave tour. But yeah, it was worth the money just for the experience. Now, this ice cave, I have to read it, is located under the Mulder Scogle, and I could be pronouncing it wrong, okay? It's spelled Myrdalsjokull. It's located under the Mulder Scogle Glacier, okay? And we used Katla Track Tour Company, and our tour guide was Thomas. He was really nice. But yeah, so that was nice taking the Katla Ice Cave tour from Vic. And we also, while we were waiting for our time at the meeting point, we were able to walk on one of the beaches in Vic. There's a beach at Vic where you can see the Rainesfora beach in the distance. And the name of that beach is Vicarforja. You have the Rainesfora, and then you have Vicarfora. Okay, so that's the black, in the Vicarfora beach is a black sand beach also. Now also, speaking of Vic, there is a church that you will see high up on a hill as you are driving towards Vic, and it has a red roof. It's a white church with a red roof, and it really stands out. The name of that church is Vic E. Myrdal. Vic space I space Myrdal. It's the Vic E. Myrdal Church. So that's a really nice spot to see northern lights. It's a nice spot to look out over the the black sand beach in Vic. And let's see what else. Okay, we did talk about Derholahay. Derholahay is a nature preserve, and it has a lighthouse on top of the cliff. Okay, so let's see. Rainbow Street, Black Beach Streets. So let's talk about day 5. Day 5 was our last day there. So we packed our stuff up, checked out of the hotel, and we headed out. Our first stop was the Geyser geothermal area, and the Stroker area is where you see it erupts like every 5 or 6 minutes, something like that. So that was really exciting to see. I do have footage, but I don't think I posted it on YouTube. I'm still trying to figure out how to get my video footage off of we have a like an action camera that we were able to wear around us. And I think either my phone is too full of, I need to free up some space on my phone in order to download things off my action camera. It's a whole thing going on with that. But if you can, visit the Geyser geothermal area so that you can see the Stroker eruption. It erupts every 5 to 10 minutes. Also, a cool place to see is the Thingvellir National Park. This was our day 5 itinerary. Now, the Thingvellir National Park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So that is really nice place to see. And what is really what's really unique about this place is that you can see the tectonic plates. I think it's the Eurasian tectonic plate and the American tectonic plate. You can see the two tectonic plates right there. Like you can stand there and you can see the Eurasian tectonic plate. It's so cool. And then the last place we visited I think Thingvellir was the last place we visited because we were coming from the south. So coming from the south, we did the Geyser area first, and then we did Thingvellir, and then we did we did the Geyser, and then we did Goldfoss. And then the last place we visited was Thingvellir before heading to the airport. Now, when by the time we got to Goldfoss, it was so windy. That was the most windy day that we experienced while we were there in Iceland. We were there for like a week or so. And Goldfoss is known as the Golden Falls, so that's a really cool place to visit. Goldfoss and Geyser are along the Golden Circle, and so that's another thing I want to talk about. When you are in Iceland, you're going to hear people talk about the Golden Circle, and you're going to hear them talk about the Ring Road. So the Golden Circle, let's say the Golden Circle is like this. The Golden Circle showcases a few places around Iceland that are not too far from Reykjavik. Okay. But the Ring Road, it circles the whole island country of Iceland. So the Ring Road is bigger. The Golden Circle is smaller. So because I know for a minute I was getting confused between the Golden Circle and the Ring Road. So the Ring Road goes all around Iceland, the whole of Iceland. And the Golden Circle does a tiny area. A tiny area that's not too far from Reykjavik. Now the Golden Circle, you can do the Golden Circle in a day, you know. The Ring Road is going to take a few days because you're visiting the southern portion, you're visiting the eastern portion of Iceland, you're visiting the northern portion, you're visiting the western, close to the airport. So the Ring Road is a sort of like a road trip that takes a few days to complete. Whereas the Golden Circle can be done in one day. So just remember that when you visit Iceland. Also, you're going to see Foss a lot. I don't know if you have noticed, but if you see anything ending with Foss, that means that it's a waterfall. If you see anything that ends with Fjara, it is a beach. For example, Reynis Fara. Reynis Fara ends with Fjara. Skogafoss, Foss. It's a waterfall. Seljalandsfoss, Foss. It is a waterfall. So those are just a few things to take note of and remember as you visit Iceland. And, whether you have never visited Iceland or it's been a while since you have visited Iceland and you just need a refresher, this is a great video to watch. Another thing I want to mention before I get out of here. Blue Lagoon, on some of the signage on the roads, it won't say Blue Lagoon. It will say Blau Landet. And so you might see BLAA and Landet is LONID. That is the equivalent of Blue Lagoon. So if you're driving around and you're looking for the Blue Lagoon and you see Blau Landet, which is BLAA LONID, if you see that, that is Blue Lagoon. Okay. There are places you can pick up groceries in Iceland. What we did, we picked up groceries in Reykjavik before we headed to the southern area because we didn't know if it would be too late and the stores might be closed. So while we were in Reykjavik, we just picked up some groceries. When we left Reykjavik, between Reykjavik and where our hotel was located, it's about a 2-hour drive, maybe a little over 2 hours. So we stopped and put gas in the car in a city called Hella, Hella. That is a perfect spot to stop and get gas if you're going from Reykjavik to the southern coast. Also, while we were headed to our hotel, we had a pleasant surprise. So we were riding along. It was dark outside. And we started seeing a light in the distance. We were like, what is that light? What are we seeing? What is lit up? As we got closer, It was Seljalands Falls. Seljalands Falls, they have lights shining on the waterfall at night. So if you're driving in that area at night, you will have a chance of seeing Seljalands Falls. So isn't that great? That was so great. That was a pleasant surprise. All right, so we had a great time in Iceland. We plan on visiting again, probably in a different time of year, so that we have more daylight and we can do the ring road. And I highly recommend visiting Iceland to everyone. It is so amazing and it's so beautiful. It is so beautiful. And when you're looking out at the greenery and then even ice, you can see ice on the mountaintops far in the distance. It all looks like it is untouched. So beautiful. But anyway, I hope you visit Iceland. Let me know if you're planning on visiting Iceland. Let me know if you visited Iceland. You can even drop some tips down in the comments that other people can benefit from as well. See you next time.